I thank you for your interest in our current vacancy for one of Her Majesty's Specialist Inspectors of Electrical and Control System Engineering, and also for taking the time to watch the webinar. I'm Richard Hines, and I'm a Principal Specialist Inspector with the Health and Safety Executive based in our Bedford office. I've worked for HSE for 11 years. Prior to that, I worked in the food manufacturing sector, having originally started out as an electrical apprentice. In this short webinar, I'm going to try and do three things. Number one, I want to give you a flavour of the type of work our team undertakes to contribute to HSE's overall objectives, which are to protect people and save lives. Secondly, I want to give you a bit of a personal insight as to why I think this is a great role. As part of that, I'm going to refer to two recent incidents which our team have contributed to. And thirdly, I want to provide some further information in terms of the application process and essentially what we are looking for if you want to join us and make a difference to help Great Britain work well. So, turning to the work our team delivers, these photographs hopefully give you a flavour of the very broad range of processes, equipment, systems and indeed sectors in which we operate on a daily basis across Great Britain. To give you some idea, this has included high voltage switchgear and associated systems of work, overhead lines, underground cables, low voltage installations and open system equipment, machinery and safety related control systems, including equipment for use in hazardous areas. When it comes to inspection investigations, which account for a large proportion of our work, our role is to essentially provide technical, electrical and control system engineering support to our regulatory colleagues to ascertain what the benchmark standard is for a given issue or work practice, whether the duty holder is meeting that expectation, and if they're not, what needs to be done to address that risk gap. There is a practical aspect to the role too. You'd be expected to visit site, to examine equipment or review working practices, and to work out what has failed or gone wrong. A big part of the role involves preparing written reports. They ultimately may be used in the coroners, magistrates, or indeed the Crown Court, with you standing in the witness box giving expert evidence. We also carry out a range of proactive engagement activities with key stakeholders, whether that's a trade body or association, a professional institution, standards committee, or a particular industry sector. Make no mistake, this role can be challenging. You will have to respond to incidents where somebody has been badly injured or regretfully killed at work. You may have to travel occasionally at short notice and stay away from home, but I do want to make it absolutely clear that the well-being of our staff is really important to us, and you will be given the support you need to succeed in the role. There's also a great deal of flexibility and autonomy with the role. You'll be given extensive training as part of your initial and ongoing development. That includes technical aspects, but also in developing your regulatory skills, where you'll be enrolled onto our Specialist Training Programme, or STP for short, and also by spending time out with operational teams regulating the full range of health and safety issues. You'll also be mentored by an experienced member of our team and gradually introduced to our frontline work to make sure you succeed in this role. In terms of trying to articulate why I think this is a great job, I wanted to talk about this recent case because the impact and difference you can make is absolutely huge. In this case, a migrant worker was electrocuted at a car wash site in London whilst having a shower in the accommodation area, and I use that term loosely. The electrical standards, as you can see from the photos, were nothing short of appalling, with covers missing, live exposed conductors present, no effective earthing of the installation, and protective fuses bypassed. The site examination, testing and technical evidence for this case was delivered by our team and led to a successful manslaughter conviction for the owner, who was sentenced to 4 years in prison for these failings and ultimately the death of his worker. I used the term accommodation area a few moments ago, and this is what I was referring to. The judge used rat-infested squalor in court during sentencing, and the deceased was charged £40 per week of his £40 per day wage to live here. Moving forwards, this case and other interventions we've carried out have led to a proactive campaign of other inspections across the GB car wash sector, working with other regulators to address some significant failings. And for me, this is a real recent example of where we have made a really positive contribution towards our objective of protecting people and saving lives. And that's all within the context of the wider government focus on modern slavery agenda. As I alluded to earlier, the breadth of issues our team become involved with, and that includes a significant amount of work looking at control and safety-related systems on plant and machinery, including, in this case, a very complex rollercoaster collision incident which resulted in irreversible, life-changing injuries to individuals who were in the car when the incident occurred. In this case, we work very closely with other specialist disciplines, particularly our mechanical engineering colleagues, to investigate and also understand what had gone wrong. From our side, that involves some quite detailed and extensive examination of the ride safety PLC and other associated equipment, which was undertaken by a member of our team who was relatively new to the role. who possess the skills and experience to contribute very early in his career with HSE. We also worked very closely with our science division colleagues who are based in Buxton to develop an animation so that the key evidence in this case was best presented in court. The duty holder was fined £5 million for this failing, which led to the incident occurring. Our involvement in this case, alongside the investigation, involved ensuring that suitable control measures have been put in place to prevent a recurrence before the ride was allowed to operate again. So, in bringing this webinar to a close, I hope that I've given you a bit more insight into the role and the difference you can make. The job advert sets out what we're looking for in terms of qualifications, skills and experience. I want to be clear that it's mandatory and will be reviewed at the SIF stage. One of the questions I'm also regularly asked is in relation to whether individuals looking to apply need to have chartered status. Our expectation is that applicants should have the necessary qualifications, skills and experience to become chartered, but we recognise that, for whatever reason, sometimes individuals haven't taken that final step to obtain professional registration despite meeting the criteria. If you're in that position and would like to apply, I'd encourage you to get the ball rolling with your institution as soon as possible, as we want to talk to you about what steps you've taken if you are selected for interview. The current locations for the role are set out on the job advert, and the process to apply is via the Civil Service Jobs website. If you do have further questions or would like to discuss any aspects of the role, please do get in touch with me via my email address, which is on the slide and in the job advert, and I will respond to everybody who contacts me. Once again, thank you for your time and your interest in this vacancy. I wish you good luck with your application. Thank you.